So I was debating as to whether or not Tango and Cash was a big dumb action movie film of the type that could only be made in the 80s, or some sort of demented satire of big dumb action movie films of the type that could only be made in the 80s, and eventually my beloved wife sipped her coffee, rolled her eyes, looked at me and said that it was just a big dumb action movie film of the type that could only be made in the 80s. Also, that I should stop procrastinating and start reviewing if I didn't want to be finding inspiration via the medium of tidying our house. And to be fair, my confusion wasn't exactly unfair. I mean, the plot's about as generic as these 80 types of films get, whereupon, framed by their ruthless arch-nemesis, a mismatched LAPD crime-fighting duo has to put their differences aside to even the score with the evil rat-sniffing kingpin who put them behind bars once and for all. And what starts as a slightly exaggerated film in the mould of a Lethal Weapon knockoff, then veers into a prison movie before ending up as almost an over-the-top spoof of a James Bond film, where you can also throw in a moment where you see Snake Plissken...
Call me Snake.
...in drag. Terry Hatcher as an exotic dancer, and the LAPD apparently having their very own Q branch, and I think you can see why I was confused. But upon doing my research, and here I'm going to bend my I don't care what happens in the kitchen as long as my meal is tasty rule, by saying that given what allegedly happened behind the scenes, I'm impressed with the fact that we got something resembling a finished film, as opposed to a mess of disconnected scenes, which is what usually happens. I'm talking about a film that started without a finished script, which was repeatedly rewritten by several people. Depending on which article I was reading, this film had either 3 or 4 directors, they all kept getting fired. Apparently Stallone was unofficially working as producer, director and writer, as well as star. He also fired Barry Sonnenfeld and then hired Donald E. Thorin, who had shot Stallone's previous movie Lock Up, yeah, me either, to replace him. Its shoot overran, it went horrifyingly over budget, and there was also a legal battle between producers Peter Guber and John Peters and Warner Brothers Studios. Outside of the room...
Oh, hi, Mark.
I have never, ever heard of a film shoot go this sideways. And I guess with this film any more complicated than the kind of film you could probably write, film, edit and release in your sleep, then I have no doubt we will be able to spot the utter Frankenstein's monster. Remember, Frankenstein was the doctor, the actual monster doesn't really seem to have a name outside of creature, monster, daemon, wretch, abortion, fiend and it. Oh, right, if this film wasn't a big dumb action movie film of the type that could only be made in the 80s, what? I have a word count to make here and you try getting to 900 words on Tango and Cash. Then you would be able to spot where all the joins were. As it is, I and the wife, a few glasses of wine in admittedly, watched a fun 90-minute film which started with a man in a suit and tie shooting a Smith & Wesson Model 36 at a truck, which then cuts to a man with a shotgun hidden in his cowboy boots and never pauses for breath until the film actually ends on an actual freeze frame of a high-five about 850,000 explosions, punches and car chases later. I mean, yes, its characters are all paper thin. It's got the kind of Cockney accent that makes Dick Van Dyke sound authentic. But it was fun. It was enjoyable. I liked all the practical effects. I enjoyed the fact that this film flipped between 3 genres, rising in sheer silliness all the time, but at the same time, its leads taking it seriously. Actually, I have a slight issue with our leads in that they seem to be a little too reserved for the first half of the film, and only at about the halfway point they seem to realise what kind of film they're starring in and start going for it. Which brings up my old issue of, if the characters don't care about what's happening to them, then why should I? Then something else explodes or someone else makes another bad one-liner and all is forgiven again. And I do mean another bad one-liner. I don't think there is a single scene in this film that doesn't either feature or end with a bad pun, but again, I didn't really mind. Because Tango and Cash is not some deep think piece on the human condition. It's a big, dumb da-da-da-da-da that's so big and so dumb that it's a hair's breadth from being a work of satire. But it isn't. Because this is a film for the beers. It's a film for one great, glorious day in the future for you and some mates to sit and watch, roast and laugh at this silly, overdone, overblown, yet somehow po-faced film. So I definitely think that you should see it after a few beers, but what do you guys think and what is your favourite piece of 80s cheese? Comment below, let me know. I'm Daniel, it's been a dunking. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe.